When I was a kid, I'd watch these beautiful documentaries on TV of underwater sea life and dreamy tropical islands. Once I grew up, I chose to visit such places in first person. I went to the Seychelles, Mauritius, Philippines, Maldives, to Thailand, but I never was able to see what I once saw on TV. Most of the times, I'd come across one very common scene. This time, I'm taking you with me. This time, I'm taking you on a trip.
Give me a second. Much better. We all have been posting on Facebook that we should do something for this planet. Global warming, recycling of plastic, stop using plastic and all that. But in the end, who's actually doing something? And most of us don't even know that we can do it by taking small little steps. It doesn't have to be like we all have to gather into the main square of our own city, sitting down and doing like a law about it. If you go to this shop called Lush, Lush offers soaps, toothpaste, conditioner for the hair, body wash, creams, tons of stuff. Before you buy something that is wrapped in plastic, which is, I don't know, Johnson & Johnson, Pantene, Adidas, all these brands made out of very thick plastics, why don't you consider going to Lush, spending a little bit more? I promise you the product lasts way longer. Why don't you go in that direction so there is no plastic to be generated, no plastic to be recycled, no energy consumed, no need to pay employees for extra work in recycling things. Plus, you're not harming animals because there's no testing that is being done on animals. Everything is also bio. Everything comes from real fruit, real plants. Everything is like in respect of nature. You're using plants, you're not killing anyone. Do you really need to drink your drink with a straw? You want to take a beautiful picture and put it on Instagram and show off how cool you are. And if you really do need the straw, why don't you buy your own straw? Buy it made out of aluminum. Buy it made out of coconut, made out of bamboo. There are several things that you can use, even thicker plastic. If you buy a thicker plastic, you can rinse it and reuse it. Don't buy disposable straws. They end up in the nose of turtles and the nose of other animals. You never know what can happen. Stop doing it. Most of the time, fresh fruit, you can either buy it whole, and then you cut it yourself, or you can buy fresh fruit which is in plastic boxes. It's wrapped in plastic again. Now, why would you buy the one that is lesser fresh, more expensive, and wrapped in plastic? I don't get it. If you are lazy and you don't want to cut the fruit yourself on the spot, cut it beforehand. Take apart, put it into a Tupperware, put the rest in the fridge for the next day, 2 or 3 minutes extra, but at least you didn't waste plastic. You don't need to dispose it. You don't need to hire employees to do that. You don't need to use energy to recycle. If you go shopping and you use those transparent plastic bags, if it's intact, if it has no holes, if the product that you bought, it was in the actual bag, didn't leak, why don't you reuse them? Keep them, store them. When you go shopping, take them all out, put them in your backpack, and when you shop, use those plastic bags until they're broken. Why don't you bring your own backpack? Why don't you bring a hard, rigid plastic bag? God knows where this plastic goes. I know it's a big pain in the I know that you are so used to eating meat, you love the taste, your mom knows how to cook it so well, and I understand that because I used to be a meat eater. I'm not telling you to become vegan, which is even harder. I'm telling you to try to become vegetarian. Number 1, it is possible. Number 2, it's super tasty and delicious. Number 3, it's easier to digest. You eat too much meat and it's not moisturized enough. It's hard for the poop, the feces, to move along the tracts of your digestive system. And if they stay there too long and the quality of the meat isn't that good, it can cause cancer, it can cause tumors. So not only eating vegetables avoids this because it's mainly made out of water, but it's rich in vitamins, antioxidants, things that your body loves. So why don't you start loving yourself by loving the planet by eating vegetables? Then, if you can't do that, I'm not saying that you can't eat meat. Try limiting it and cutting back until you don't need it anymore. If you choose to eat meat, be aware that that meat suffered, number one. Number two, that animal didn't want to die. That animal wanted to live. So you killed the fun of that animal, enjoyment of living his life for your own enjoyment. Number three, if you choose to eat meat, remember that that animal needs food. What is the main food that that animal eats? Vegetables. Where do they fetch those vegetables? From crops. So what are people gonna do? They're gonna raise crops, not for people, because people prefer meat, raise crops to give them to animals. That's already wrong, because we can eat crops directly. If an animal eats crops, around 40% is absorbed, 60% is shit out. If we eat an animal, 40% is absorbed, 60% is shit out. Now, if we do this, if we eat the animal, there's a huge waste because there are two actual wastes. Animal here, we're here, vegetables here. Vegetables are eaten by the animal is eaten by us. Two wastes. But we could go directly to the vegetables and only one waste. Why don't we start wasting less by eating directly vegetables instead of eating animals, which are already wasting part of the vegetables they ate? To prove this to you, the meat that you eat, if you eat pig meat, for example, you know how they're stored into these barns? Several levels. The first one is the one that gets food. He poos, and the poo leaks down to the second pig. The second pig eats the poo of the first pig. Poos, the poo goes down to the third pig. The third pig still finds nutrients in the poo of the second pig and will poo and give it to the fourth pig. There's columns of 4 pigs eating their own feces. So imagine us. If we eat the animal, how much waste there will be. Imagine you eat meat from that pig that ate the fourth shit. That's the meat that you're eating. Suffering in a cage, butchered against his will, eating shit from the fourth pig, not prime shit, not prime food, the fourth shit. Is this the life you want to conduct? We can all do something. If every single one of us does small little steps all together, and you don't do it because you want to show it on Instagram, you just do it because you know it's right, you're gonna friggin' fix this planet. It's 9 billion of us today now. And so many people nowadays eat meat at breakfast, lunch, dinner. No control over it. If you eat this amount of meat, and every individual wants to eat this amount of meat, and we keep on growing from 9 billion to 10 billion, 11 billion, there will be such a huge debt towards energy of this planet, it will be unrecoverable. And it is already unrecoverable. We are already largely in debt towards this planet. I've been traveling around the world a whole lot because of the job I was doing, and I've come across several nationalities that aren't aware of this pollution risk. There is no education. The thing I've seen the most is people throwing their trash in rivers. They would say that, it's just rinsing away, it's gonna dissolve. I can't go to every individual and tell them, hey, look, it's not gonna dissolve, it's gonna pile up elsewhere, you know? There has to be a certain level of education that is provided to people that don't have the chance to find this out on their own. There should be some awareness campaigns that are done in these countries to understand that certain things cannot be done. You cannot take rubber things, plastic things, tires or stuff and light them up. It will create a disaster up in the air. But they don't know. They don't know that polluting is bad. They don't know that trashing the rivers is bad. They don't know that digging a hole and putting it under the soil is bad. This needs to be told at school. These people need the education. I don't want anyone to get angry, but for example, at school in Italy, we were studying religion. And as important religion can be, that hour of religion, there's no lesson, there's no nothing. Everybody plays their own games on their phones. Everybody does cross puzzles. You even play cards. You even play poker with money, actual money. That's what was happening in my school. Why don't you substitute that hour of religion with environmental education? You know how many people are ignorant and selfish just because they don't know? They're not selfish because they want to be selfish. They don't know. I know that religion is important. I know that Italians are very religious. But if religion has to be done like this at school, remove it. Put environmental education in place. It's much better use of their time. And they'll be aware that there are things that you can do to save this planet. Now, I kind of get carried away and I get very emotional when I talk about our planet. But if you really want to have a good documentary providing information without losing temper, I really recommend you going in the description to this video and clicking on any of the links that I provide, and it will redirect you to several YouTube videos online that I found really useful for me to take this path of being vegetarian and respecting the planet. And one film documentary, which is not on YouTube, it is on Netflix. If you have any friend that has Netflix, watch it together. It's called Cowspiracy. Really good, watch it. It's like a game changer. You shouldn't do it all at once. You should take small little steps. Don't cut back on meat right away. If you feel like it, do it. I'd be really happy if you did. But if you can't manage doing that, there's always the first steps that I talked about before. Straws, plastic bags, plastic containers, plastic wrapping around things and soaps and whatever. You can always start little by little and you'll see it will really make a huge difference. Don't think what other people are doing. Don't think what they think. Do it because you know you're doing good. We know it, you know it, everybody knows it. Be good to the planet because this is where you live. This is your house. This is your house. You don't want to live in friggin' trash. Respect your house. That's it. I'm so pissed. And I'm on holiday. Peace.